The trip, scheduled to take place in February, will be all expenses paid, sponsored by the Jewish Community Relations Council and the United Jewish Appeal, two pro-Israeli foundations that have a combined budget of over $1 billion. 15 members of the New York City Council will participate, including Council Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito. Representatives of various community organizations gathered to denounce the proposed trip. Among them was Faten Jarrara of the New York City Al-Auda Right of Return Coalition.
Their role as council members is to serve the people of New York, and it is not their job to normalize with governments that are systematically oppressive against an entire race.
Donna Novell, representing Jews Against Islamophobia, also denounced the planned trip as being a slap in the face to millions of New Yorkers.
City council members represent all of New York City's communities. Participating in such a trip does not reflect a commitment to those communities experiencing Islamophobia or committed to challenging it. It does not reflect a commitment to those whose families and loved ones are victims of ongoing Israeli brutality, and to all those standing for justice in Palestine and Israel.
Activists pointed out that members of New York City Council have recently criticized the actions of the New York City Police Department, while neglecting to mention that the NYPD actually has an office in Tel Aviv and has worked closely with the Israeli military. Bina Ahmad from the National Lawyers Guild said the rising movement of anti-police brutality protests shares a common enemy with the Palestinian people.
This NYPD brutality has only escalated since collaboration with Israel and Israeli military training, evidenced by the NYPD murders of Ramarli Graham, Kimani Gray, Akai Gurley, and my legal aid office's client, Eric Garner. How can progressives on the council who denounce racial policing, profiling, and militarized policing in New York City support the forces that help to foster these abuses both here and in Israel and Palestine?
Not everyone in New York City government approves of the trip. Charles Barron, who just left New York City Council and now serves in the State General Assembly, actually visited Gaza in 2009 and expressed support for continued Palestinian resistance. Over 48 community organizations delivered a petition to the New York City Council demanding that the trip be canceled out of respect for the thousands of victims of Israel's continued crimes. Caleb Maupin, Press TV, New York.